Welcome to Tab Talks, where I believe that talking is healing and listening is feeling. This is my first ever podcast. Creating my first ever podcast called Tab Talks. Talking is healing, right? Talking is healing. I believe that through talking, because I love to talk a lot, that I actually gain some healings from sharing information, especially with my mates. So that's basically why I created this podcast. I want to talk with my friends about their journeys, the things they've learned, tell some stories about our life, and just hopefully it might resonate with anyone listening out there. Because as much as talking is healing, so is listening. So here we go. Hi, so today I have my amazing friend Andy on the podcast.
Hello.
Hello. Laughy Carthy, I call him. It's my nickname. And our topic today is going to be all about independence. Just talking about it really. And again, with Andy and I... we learn through laughing. We just love spending time together. We learn through laughing, through great deep chats. We're both super independent people. So I'm really interested to have this chat with you today.
I'm excited. I'm nervous.
So a little bit about how we met and how we became friends.
Yeah.
So do you want to do the honours?
No, you can.
Well, the first things first is that we were in a WhatsApp group that were all going to Glastonbury together.
Yeah.
And we didn't know each other. We'd never met. And I was working at the Ideal Home Show.
Yeah.
And as a out of work performer, I was selling hair extensions.
You were.
And I had a half wig in. And I was putting fake hair pieces,
Yeah.
blonde scrunchy buns to be precise, on elder women at the Ideal Home Show, and I was getting paid commission. And then Andy walked past, and I'd never met him, but I knew we had all these mutual friends, and we were in this WhatsApp group. And I was like, Andy, and you just looked round and were like,
Very
yeah.
much, I don't think I'd ever seen you in real life at that point. So I was like, who is this crazy hair lady like hollering at me in the Ideal Home Show?
Scrunchy in one hand, mirror in the other.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, hi. And then I remember you said, go on, carry on.
I was like, we're in a WhatsApp group. I'm meant to be going to Glastonbury, but I can't go. And then it started from there. And basically, the reason
didn't I apparently just go, oh, okay.
Yeah, you just looked me up and down. You were like, oh, great, nice to meet you. And I was like, we will definitely be friends.
I don't think at the time I realised that you
Who I was.
that you were Tabby from the WhatsApp group. I just, I felt like it was an attack of the senses, and I was like, oh,
Attack of the senses.
oh, okay, cool.
Sometimes I am an attack of the senses.
And plus, the Ideal Home Show is an attack on the senses anyway. So
full attack.
There was
of
a
the
lot
senses.
going on.
Yeah, and the funny thing was that actually the reason I couldn't go to Glastonbury was because I got my first West End show, which was Mamma Mia, and I was next door neighbours with you.
Yeah.
And Andy was in Willy Wonka, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory at the time.
Yep.
And so then, with this discovery of meeting at the Ideal Home Show, we realised we were neighbours in the shows,
Yep.
and we went to the pub together.
Yeah.
And that's how we became friends.
Yeah.
The rest is history.
Yeah. That's it. We used to get drunk in the now.
We used to get so drunk in the Nell. For all the performers listening, you'll know what that is like.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and then we got on so well, and one day we went for a roast dinner at the Hawksmoor.
Did we?
And we said we're going to go to Australia together.
Oh, yes, we did do that. I'm sorry. I was like, where's this going? Oh, yeah, and you got the map out.
I got out a full...
She's got this huge, like, I don't know what's bigger than, I don't know, it was like...
Lonely Planet.
Folded like 12 times. It was like... and we like... put it down like we were like on the Titanic, like where are we going to go next?
Titanic!
Like, and we planned a route and it was amazing.
We did, so yeah, we got that out and we were like, is this a good idea? We've never spent more than 24 hours solidly together,
Yeah.
And we're about to travel Australia in a camper van. But it was
so good.
the best thing. We said it would either make or break us, and it made us.
So good.
all the stories.
I
to
wish
tell
this was
from
like a
that.
visual podcast, because then you could like put pictures up of us in the van.
Yeah, I think that's beyond my editing
Or, like,
skills,
like,
actually.
cooking on them outdoor barbecues.
Cooking with Andy.
Yeah, so good.
There's just a thing about when we're together, like people seem to love it, and we just bounce off each other, and we're just always having a laugh. Like we
Yeah.
actually have the best times
Yeah.
together.
100%.
Going back to independence. So, do you want to talk a little bit about your life? Because Andy is probably the most independent person I know, other than myself. Maybe that's why we get on.
Maybe.
Actually.
No.
Because you've lived on your own since, how old were you?
I've lived in this flat since I was 21.
21, yeah.
Well, no, 21, 22. So I'm an adult orphan. This is where the independence comes from. My mum died when I was 15, and then my dad when I was 21. So then, from being like a teenager, I've had to be quite independent and look after myself, and went to college at 16, and then was living at home, and then wasn't really enjoying living at home in that environment with my dad, who kind of wasn't himself since my mum died. So I went off to college at 16 and then moved out at 17.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah. Lived illegally in this flat above a hairdresser's on Sidcup High Street.
Secrets out now.
I mean, and to get to the flat, like the entrance to the flat was next to the entrance to the shop. So I used to have to cross the road and then come in the other side, so I didn't walk past the shop window. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I used to
cross the road, go all the way round.
go around, and then like open the door so they couldn't see me, and then just quickly go in.
I wish you could see the acting that's going on here
I
as
did
well.
that for a year and lived in this box room.
Yeah.
That was horrible.
Yeah.
Character building.
This is what we're talking about, exactly. Character building.
And then moved into this flat. Well, I was working in Germany, and then nothing could happen while I was over there with my dad's old house. So then, moved here a year later, and been here ever since.
And do you think that at the time you had like lots of help readily available to you?
No.
I was going to say.
No, and that's one of the like worst bits about it. Growing up, like going to a performing arts secondary school and stuff, you'd think that, I don't know, like people, the school would be a bit more, I don't know, like open,
just checking in,
open
just seeing
to
what's going on.
Kids that have gone through hardship. A lot of kids are gay and stuff, and the school that I went to, the catchment area was the whole of the UK, so people would come from everywhere. But yeah, no, I remember that being really bad. And I remember our Key Stage 4 teacher, like I would love to have an adult conversation with her now.
Yeah.
And just be like, what's going on, babe?
Yeah, what's going on?
Like what were you thinking at that point?
Yeah.
Because I'm not the first one that it would have happened to, and it's definitely not the last.
No, of course not.
Anyway, I'm hoping it's more sort of regulated and stuff in schools now.
I think that's the thing, isn't it? It's you know, you're going through a super, super, super difficult time with your, not just family and relationships, like with your living in your environment, and also like your identity and knowing who you are.
Yeah, like, oh yeah, very stressful.
Yeah.
A stressful time.
Andy doesn't really talk about this kind of stuff much, so I'm very lucky that you're being so open on the podcast. So thank you. Like you say, leave the demons in the closet.
Oh my God, keep it locked away.
And I'm the opposite. Like, you need to talk about these things. You need to heal.
I don't talk about it because I end up getting upset and end up start crying, and then I'm like, oh God.
Yeah, no, I think you're really super strong.
I feel like I might have got better at it. I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, we've spoken about stuff all the time, so maybe it's just the familiarity of it. But sometimes when I speak to people, when people ask me things, and it's not something I need to bring up all the time, but sometimes if people are like, oh, so like, are you going to go home for Christmas? And I'm like, oh, and I'll be like, oh, I'm going to go to the families, because I will always go to my sisters or my brothers or whatever. And then like some people end up like loving to like prod, and I'm like, I've given you an answer.
Back away.
Yeah. You don't need to ask anymore.
Yeah.
But I mean, they don't do it in a negative way. People are just interested, aren't they? And then I have to do like the jugular. My mum's dead. My dad's dead. just to shut them up.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, and then they start feeling sorry for you.
And then you feel bad, and then they feel bad.
Yeah, and then I was chatting to a mate the other night, and like she was asking about it, and she was like, oh, you've been so strong and all of this, and I'm just like, well, you don't have a choice.
Yeah,
like, you just have to keep going forward.
You have to keep going forward, and that's you're the most strong person I know, because you really are. You don't talk about it. You don't bring it up. You don't look for sympathy. You definitely don't play the victim. That is something you do not have to heal from, being victim mode.
No, definitely not.
And actually, sometimes I think, sometimes it is. You've got to really realise what did happen. It was a lot.
Yeah.
It was a real lot.
Yeah, it was.
But like you said, character building, and at that time, if you didn't really feel that help was so readily available, you are the one that continues. You're the one that picks yourself up, sorts out where you're living, has to do all your cooking, has to organise everything in your life.
Yeah.
Not only that, but do it also while being in the performing arts world, which isn't kind at all, is it? That's character building in itself.
That's jazz. Well, no, what did she say in Chicago?
That's
Shelby's kids.
Oh, God. Cringy.
Stagey. Hilarious.
But yeah, so I think, wow, amazing. Credit to you for doing that. But do you think, in a way, maybe that determination and that independence and that strong will pushed you more to do more of the theatre? Or do you just think it all worked in tandem together, maybe?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think, I don't feel like I've since going to college or going to performing arts secondary school, I don't really feel like I've had a different path to follow.
Yeah.
So I feel like once I started at school,
you enjoyed it.
That was it, sort of thing. That was, and before my mum died, she had applied for a college that I didn't think I was going to get into, which is the one I went to.
No way, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and she'd applied for me.
No.
Yeah, and then she died before I could audition for the college.
God.
So then, I don't know, it wasn't really I'm going to do this for my mum sort of thing.
No, it just felt...
But I was just a bit like, oh, this is the one that my mum wanted me to go to, so this is the one I'm going to go to, sort of thing.
Yeah, and the rest is history.
Yeah, that's it.
And
I've never told you that before.
No, I never knew that.
Yeah, that's true.
And just for everyone listening, Andy's been super successful in performing.
Stop that.
And now he's a wonderful, painful sports masseuse. No, he's really good. I haven't actually personally had one massage yet, but... So, what I was going to say as well is that Andy, being my friend, you're one of the people that I go to for when I'm asking for an opinion and I don't want any bullshit around the sides. You are the most cutthroat. And I love it. And I love it. And I think that's what makes you. That's what everyone loves about you. You just you come in so sharp and witty with your humour, so sharp with your advice, and you're like, oh, I don't want to hear that, but he's right. Yeah,
I think I'd be doing you a disservice though if
no, exactly.
If I wrapped it up in cotton wool.
Exactly, that's not you. You are. That's what I love about you.
Call a spade a shovel.
Exactly, that's why I love you. It's the best. But going on to independence, so I'm quite an independent person as well, in a different way. But similarly, I moved away from home when I was 13 actually, to a performing arts boarding school. I was away in the week and then I came back on the weekends. And I kind of did similar path. We went away on cruise ships. We worked abroad a lot when we were younger. So I really got this independent trait as well, with my mum being a super hard worker, and I just inherited that trait, I think. And I found it a really good, useful way to be. But with people these days, there's a lot of stuff at the moment about women being too much in their masculine energy, which is very much in their doing energy.
Yeah.
And I'll say, London is a doing city. You can't just be chilling, going to the beach like I do in Ibiza. You're up at 9, doing your work, seeing people socialising.
People plan shit in months, weeks in advance, and I'm there on Thursday oh, what are we going to do on Saturday?
Yeah.
Everyone's booked up, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah, well, recently you had a friend that was booked up till next April, was it?
That's that old chestnut. Yeah,
Crazy.
So it was it must have been September, October time, and he was booked up every single weekend until mid-January, and this was in September time.
September, and you were like, okay then, won't see you till next year.
I was like, what? That gives me anxiety. I'm very last minute with everything, really. Am I going to be alive then?
Yeah, we play it day by day.
Yeah, I don't look too far into the future.
No.
But then sometimes you're like, you got to,
oh God.
And then before you know it, you're still stuck in the same place a year later.
Yeah.
And you could have done something about it.
Yeah, exactly. And so, yeah, I just sort of had this memory. So recently, I was in Guatemala on this amazing retreat. I did some silence and I was having all these epiphanies and meditating. I had this epiphany about independence, right? As a woman. So this is just coming from my side. But you are part of this story.
Okay.
And so there was this one day I had loads of my work cancelled in London. And I was thinking, that is just so strange. Why is that all cancelled? Feeling a little bit low about it, and I took 3 crystals with me to Guatemala, and one was a citrine, which is like a little yellow crystal, and I don't really do healing with crystals, but I saw it glimmering on the side, and I was like, oh, it's speaking to me, my crystal, oh my god, finally.
It looks so nice.
and you love crystals, don't you? You're quite into the crystals.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, maybe this is a sign, like I'll hold the crystal, see if I get any, makes me feel better, I don't know. I was kind of just, I didn't really know what I was after, but I was holding this crystal and I thought, you know what, today I'll take it with me to meditation. And I took it with me to meditation, but en route I went to the toilet. And good. I went to we were living in the mountains, like really, really like far from society. And there were 2 long drops, Glastonbury kind of long drops. One was the men's, one was the women's. So I'm sat in the men's long drop, having a wee with my little yellow crystal. And I dropped it. Dropped it in the men's shitter. And I thought, oh my god, what does this mean?
I know that I'd be really sad about that.
Yeah, I was sad. And I was like, what does this mean? Like, I was only trying to use it to cheer me up. So anyway, the girls are all having a laugh and they're like, haha, well, at least you're smiling now, blah, blah, blah. I was like, no, this means something. What does it mean? All my work's cancelled. Now I've lost my crystal down the men's toilets. And the next day I'm speaking to Andy, and this is what I mean by like the cutthroat. It's not even cutthroat, it's just cuts to the point.
Direct,
yeah. And so I said, oh, Andy, like, you love crystals and that. I had this citrine, told him the story. And you just went, oh, babe, all your wealth and opportunities down the shitter. Because citrine represents wealth and opportunities and money.
Yeah.
So then I was like, yeah, it was all of my opportunities down the shitter. I've had the jobs cancel. And then the jobs were all cancelled by men. And I was like, interesting. Dropped the crystal down the men's toilet.
Yeah.
And then I realised, oh my God, I have something going on here that I can't receive money or wealth from men. And so then it sparked this whole, I love to get deep with my own thoughts. So it sparked this whole spiral of thinking and healing for me, because I don't like men to pay on dates. I get really funny about if a man in particular does something nice for me, a nice gesture, a gift, takes me out, I find it really uncomfortable.
Do you feel like that you're in debt to them then?
It's a little bit like that, but it's more that I can do it myself. And so that's where this hyper-independence comes from. So after all my healing and studies and this little moment that I had this epiphany, was like, oh my goodness, someone's never going to be able to come into my energy if I've got this, I have to do it all alone.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that really helped me with my mini healing.
And who knew this whole tangent of a story would come from you dropping that down the toilet?
I know.
And I feel like you're the only person that would really be the Sherlock Holmes in that and really do the dot to dot. Because I remember when you first were telling me, I was like, oof, we've really dug deep here for this. But then if you think about it,
works for me.
Essentially, it's what you take from it.
Yeah, exactly. So then now I'm like, right, I need to really look at that side of me, because that is a hyper-independent side, which I've valued for so long, but actually it's probably holding me back a little bit from women. But yeah, that was my little epiphany about being like hyper-independent. Yeah. But do you think it comes with some of its cons, being hyper-independent?
Yeah, oh, for sure.
Yeah,
definitely.
In what way?
Like, you can I don't know, maybe sometimes you can be stubborn. You're so used to doing things your way that you get annoyed with somebody else trying to give you a different... I mean, the outcome will be the same, just the journey to get there.
Yeah.
Is probably not the way that you want to do it.
But that's actually probably stemming from a place of feeling safe, because you feel safe if you do it, because you've always had to do it.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
And then also, I guess, with like dating and stuff, you want to be the like dominant party, and you want to do things. Well, me want to do things the way I want to do things, or like my idea of a date is something and someone else is something and it doesn't quite match up to what I
Yeah.
think, and then I essentially, in my imagination, let myself down because I expected something to be more than what it was. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
And then like you sat in a I won't
Go
say it in
on.
case someone listens. You sat in a posh McDonald's and you thought you were going to the Ivy.
Busted!
And I had to order
I won't name no names.
I had to order my food off a electric menu and then collect a buzzer and wait for it. I was like, I put a polo shirt on for this.
Slightly disappointing.
Yeah. But again, the thing is, no one had discussed what we were going to do, and the other person might think that's a cute little wholesome little thing to do because they liked they liked going there and they must have had happy memories, or I don't know. So we just,
if you don't talk about it, you're never going to know, are you?
Yeah, and your expectations are different.
Yeah.
But if he would have said it, then I probably wouldn't have put on a polo shirt.
Yeah. But I think that's the thing with like being independent, is that you're so used to doing things your way that you just assume, or you just don't ask because you can do it yourself.
Yeah.
But actually, if you just ask, like, oh, what's the plan for tonight?
Yeah.
And then that's done, or if he had said, then fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the funny thing. And I also think there's an element of this loneliness with it.
Yeah, I used to feel that lots, actually.
I didn't want to say it, I hesitated then because I was like...
Yeah.
Because I felt that as well, a lot.
Yeah. And I've had to get used to it because the flat I'm in is a one bed, obviously.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
And I live here, and I've always kind of gone away on tour, gone away on doing shows or whatever, and then come back. And sometimes when you come off a contract like that where you're with someone all the time and then you come back here, you're back on your own, you don't have housemates or anything to like bounce off of.
Yeah,
it's like
totally.
a little bit of a culture shock, and you're like, oh. But then in the same breath, I'm like, oh, thank God I'm on my own. Like,
yeah.
It's a bit like,
thank the
you're
Lord.
like torn inside. Friends staying or boys or whatever. And then after a while, I'm like, get out.
Can you please leave?
But then when they leave, I'm like, oh, I'm on my own.
Yeah. I know
It's
exactly.
that whole like finding the right balance. But yeah, no, I
can't
do.
live with them, can't live without them. That vibe.
Yeah. But then
but more live without.
Yeah, and now like you stay quite a lot, but
Thank you.
Friends do come over, but like I love my own space.
Yeah.
I will like going back to being booked up forever. Like I will book in to do nothing.
Yeah, that's so good that you do that though.
Like,
I think
I have to do that. Like if I will not do 2 nights out in a row.
Yeah.
Because my
my
social battery's gone.
Yeah.
And yeah, so then when people are like, oh, I've got no weekends free, I'm like, but
that
what
is anxiety
what if something crops up out of nowhere on a Friday night? You're on the 7 a.m. flight to Amsterdam the next day, like what? I don't know. There's my imagination just going wild, but I'm just like, I always need a safety net.
Yeah, totally.
And I'm like, I can't do it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I used to be one of those people that always, I think this is tied into my whole everything really, my whole life. But I used to be one of those people that I loved to drink, I loved to socialise, I loved to be busy, I loved to be doing things all the time. I was a work addict.
Yeah.
I was that classic person that I needed something to fill my attention at all times, right? Whether that's a person, whether that's, I don't know.
Was that drink?
But drink just became the social, didn't it? Because drink was the way to be out with people.
Yeah, but when you're on a show,
yeah,
like every single night in the pub, after the show, and then it's only when you step away from it, you're like, I don't know, like I've never worked in any other industry.
Yeah.
I don't know, corporate world. I don't know if they go for drinks every night.
Probably.
But I'm just like, how do people go for a drink every night after a show?
Yeah. Now I think about
we used to do it all the
I
time.
don't drink.
Like, even just one. Like one wasn't going for a drink really.
Yeah.
You were just having one.
Having one
on the way home.
Yeah.
And you're like,
tinny on the train. It's crazy, isn't it?
I mean, I won't name any names, but some people would put it away.
Yeah.
Every single night, but also come back in the next day and have the most glorious singing voice still.
Yeah, smash the shows.
Smash the show, and that was just their routine. And
I do the best shows I'm over.
Looking at it now, like people that do that, they're hiding from something, I'm sure, and they're filling the void, and they don't want to go home on their own. And it's me. I'm like, I can't wait to get on my stage on my own.
Well, that's the funny thing, because I was thinking that used to be me, and now I've done so much work on myself. Like, oh my god, I love being on my own.
Yeah.
And like coming from, I've just been in Guatemala, done 5 days silent retreat and a month away in the mountains, and then I'm back
Did
to
you
London.
not do 4.95 days because you were messaging me at the 11th hour? Darling, I'm supposed to be on silent retreat.
Don't tell everyone! No, what happened was I messaged on WhatsApp on aeroplane mode, and then I knew it would go through when
you were allowed.
Was finishing the silent retreat.
That's all right, you can edit this bit if you want.
No, it's fine. But yeah, I think in the way of the loneliness thing, we've spoken about this before, and touching on the whole avoidant, anxious attachment thing. For example, hyper-independence, people can tend to be quite avoidant in their relationships. And then for me, for example, I used to be more swayed towards that anxious attachment, but now I love the time on my own. I've got a little bit more of the avoidant in me. So that is a whole...
If people don't know what you're talking about, Google the attachment theory.
Yeah. Well, do you want to explain a little bit? Because you've been learning about it.
Yeah, I've been learning about it recently. So, I mean, you've been telling me to read the book Attached.
Yes,
for
so good.
So many years. And anyway, I hadn't done it. Anyway, so if I am going to read, it's going to be something that I want to read rather than this random relationship book. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I'm like, darling, you've got to read it.
Got to read it. Anyways, so there was on a podcast, the woman who is the...
Oh, it was so interesting, wasn't it?
I don't know, she's some sort of professor, dating expert, and she was talking about the attachment theory. And from the drive from my sister, it was about an hour and a half. My sister's to here is about an hour and a half. And I listened to the whole thing on the drive. And I was honestly, I had to keep rewinding it. Did I tell you that bit?
No, you didn't tell me that.
Yeah, so I was just like, this is real. Like, she's not making this up. I'm definitely... So there's 3 types of attachment theory. What is it? Avoidant, secure,
and
anxious. And it stems from being a baby and how you react to your mum essentially leaving you on the floor and leaving the room. And then and then the studies about how the baby reacts. Cut them story short, blah blah blah. I'm definitely avoidant. Yeah. Which means that so that baby, the mum would come back, the baby would stop crying, but then still, rather than be happy that the mum's picked it up, still be fucking pissed off that the mum.
Yeah.
And so it would be Mardy.
Yeah. This is a great explanation.
Because you're like, oh well, you shouldn't have done it in the first place.
Yeah.
So I'm now gonna be horrible to you, make you suffer, sort of thing.
So I'm gonna push you away.
Yeah. And then obviously the other one's the secured one is when the baby is happy and fine, and then the
anxious just keeps crying.
Anxious one keeps crying because it thinks that the mom's gonna leave it again.
Yeah.
Woof.
So interesting. Yeah.
So, but anyway, it's based on those, and
it plays out in relationships.
She was explaining the classic symptoms, classic reactions, and then the classic reactions of, say, an avoidant with an attached.
Yeah, which tends to be the magnet that draws them off to the
flame. So the avoidant pushes away the attached, and the attached then panders for the attention, and so this that constant yin and yang of I want you, but go away sort of thing, which is so anyway, we've spoken about it. I'm definitely avoidant, but you also said to me that you can, depending on what the relationship is, you can kind of change a little bit.
Totally. I've had completely flipped, so I think I am generally a secure person when I'm matched with someone pretty secure. That's what they say. Yeah, when I'm on my own.
Same.
Yeah.
I'm
so secure.
I'm the most secure of myself.
We're secure together.
We are.
Maybe 2 hyper-independent people works quite well.
Maybe.
But yeah, I've been both ends of the spectrum, to be honest. But I think, you know what, it's just being aware of it. It changes everything.
And that's what she said. She was like, you know, if you constantly do the same reaction, you're going to end up with the same result.
Yeah, that's it.
And it's all obviously this podcast has been specific about trying to get a partner, essentially. Yeah. So if you know that you're going to act that way, you can preempt it, and you can change. You can change the series of events by changing one reaction. Exactly.
For example, because when I've spoken with you we've had chats about this loads. Sometimes avoidance can tend to find faults in people that are not really there.
Guilty.
Didn't want to name any names, but
I broke up with the boy with bad breath once. You know.
I think that's a fair reason to break up with them.
Terrible halitosis.
I think that's completely valid. Did you
Yeah.
tell him, though, that it was bad?
I couldn't tell him. How do you tell
You've got to
someone?
communicate that, and then maybe you can fix it.
No.
Maybe he was the love of your life.
He wasn't. He unfollowed me on Instagram.
He unfollowed, blocked, delete. But yeah, you can find like mini faults with someone, but it's actually not the faults that you're annoyed with. It's your way of pushing them away.
Yeah.
And that's, even knowing that, you can then be like, I found this little fault. It's really annoying me, but am I really annoyed at that tiny thing? Or is it that I'm getting scared and panicky and I'm doing the avoided thing?
Yeah.
Just being aware of it.
I definitely get like overwhelmed if someone is giving me too much attention.
Yeah.
It's like I don't like the
Back
word
away slowly.
ick, because ick is not great. It makes the person sound like they're not great. But
yeah.
I'm just like,
It gives you the ick.
I'm just like, ugh, like I can't cope with it. I'd much prefer someone to be a little bit cooler.
But this could all be like, you can get so deep about this and have amazing chats about this. But this could all be because of all of that loss that you experienced when you were younger.
Yeah.
That actually you don't, it's scary. It's scary to have, when you're opening up to a partner, for example, you're also opening up to losing them too.
Yeah.
That's the scary thing, isn't it? I think. But it's also good to be aware of it and know about this kind of stuff.
Mm.
And the same with the anxious, like the anxious person, for example, I've been in this situation before where someone's given me nothing and I'm like,
Please love
so
me, please.
needy. Yeah, it's not like me.
Nails
at
in
all.
the back.
Please love me. Love me. No, I'm joking. Like, I've not been that bad, but I notice myself wanting to get more confirmation from them.
But is that because the more they kind of resist you, the
Exactly.
more you're trying for it, which is actually what you shouldn't do?
Exactly, and
You
that's a
should then-
representation of my upbringing, probably.
Yeah.
So it's so interesting, and if you want to know more about attachment theory, read the book Attached. It's so interesting.
Yeah.
But we love it because I definitely think hyper independence has a part to play in all of that, and I think it's really interesting. Like, what do you think are the pros about being independent and the hyper independence?
I mean, I think I'm really headstrong,
Yeah,
and I don't think
direct.
yeah. I don't know what the pros are.
Well, I think it's that you don't ever need to rely on anyone else. You can do everything yourself.
Yeah, but then it's nice to have someone, isn't it?
Totally.
It's nice to have someone to share stuff with.
Totally, and like I said about my little crystal story, actually, if I'm so independent, I'm closing myself off to like some opportunities and wealth, and everything's gone down the shitter.
Even tonight, when I was like coming back from the gym, I was like, "Oh, Tabby's at home," and I felt like I was like coming home to my little wife,
wifey,
cooking dinner. Actually,
we had the best dinner ever, cooking with Andy.
But that's really nice. Like coming home to someone, knowing that someone is there, kind of like waiting for you or whatever.
Yeah,
It
totally.
doesn't have to be in a romantic sense.
No, not at all.
But like your pal, you can have a laugh.
I just think that with being independent, like, this is something that I've always valued in myself, is that if I set out to achieve something, I know I'm going to do it. And that's like an amazing thing to have. Some people don't have that. And I think that comes from being independent. Some people just need people for everything.
Yeah.
Like, can you help me with this? Can you help me with this? Can you help me with this?
We all know people that have never been single.
Yeah. True. It's the opposite.
And I'm like, whoa.
Do you even know yourself?
Yeah.
I guess that's the pro.
Actually, as we're talking, my brain's like thinking a bit more. I'm like, I know now what it's like to be this independent, and I know that I don't want this forever.
Exactly.
So
essentially,
the pro would be I've learned
about
myself, and
100%.
knowing what I want is no one really wants to be alone, do they? But also, I'm not like, I want to be with someone right now. I just know that at some point I will be happy. Well, happier.
Definitely.
Maybe.
Definitely.
I mean, I think I'm very happy now, but...
That's it, exactly. That's the thing.
But, I guess it's nice to share life with someone.
100%. And I think it depends on, we're living in the modern world these days, and a relationship doesn't have to be living together. It doesn't have to be all engulfing.
No,
it doesn't have to be
you just
claustrophobic.
want someone there to know that they've got your back, essentially.
Yeah, you just want someone that doesn't have every single weekend booked out for the next 6 months.
I don't think I'm being too...
No, I agree.
Too wild about that.
No, not at all.
When am I going to see you? January 24? No, babe.
Yeah, especially if you're dating someone. Like I don't know, it depends, doesn't it? Some people would go for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's the pro, isn't it? It's that you get to spend time with yourself, knowing what you like, who you are.
Yeah, learning about yourself,
learning your flaws, learning
Yeah.
your absolutely amazing qualities, and then actually knowing what you can and can't share with someone.
Well, and probably knowing what you can contribute
Yeah, and then
in a positive way to a relationship, or
exactly, and then when you're feeling a bit of resistance, knowing that that's something you need to maybe work on.
But I'm also really good now, I think, with knowing what I don't want out of a relationship.
Yeah, of course.
Like, well,
Yeah.
we've spoken about, like, I mean, I'm
you're
not
really good
I'm
like
not a
that.
serial dater, but I
No,
know that
neither
when
am
I'm
I.
in that kind of relationshipy vibe,
Situationship.
and especially the last one, I'm like, okay, I know that this is not what I want.
Yeah.
So then I'm very happy to take a step back.
Yes.
And continue my hyper. What do we call it?
Hyper independence.
Hyper independence.
Yeah. Maybe we'll take out the hyper and we'll just be independent.
Yeah, I don't know. What differentiates independent and hyper independence?
I think hyper independence is like super independence.
I mean,
I don't know actually. It just sounds pretty flash. But yeah, it's such an interesting one because again, there's stuff that I would not change about being independent. Like, I really love the fact that I don't have to rely on people.
Do you feel like you'll get married, or do you want to get married and like and live that like nuclear family life? Do you know what I mean?
I don't know if I want to get married, but I do definitely want a partner and a child.
What if your partner said to you, "Oh my god," because someone did say this to me the other night, right?
Tell me.
Oh my god, I just
I've got anxiety already.
I don't know who's going to listen to this. Anyways,
Everyone.
Someone I know has apparently got an Excel spreadsheet of the qualities and physical attributes that they want to find in a partner, and it's apparently really extensive. I didn't ask too many questions. Oh yeah, so one of the main points was stay-at-home wife.
A boy has said this.
Yeah.
Oh, and he wants a stay-at-home wife.
Yeah, and I just thought, no,
God, it's a can of worms, this.
There will be people that want that.
Yeah, exactly.
But I just don't know. I'm like,
I think
would you go for that if it was a man of your?
Well, not as an independent person, I would not, unfortunately.
Of your dreams.
But this was my thing with the whole crystal in the toilet, was that if I do want a partner to help and support me, I need to be open to receiving money and also gifts and time and opportunities from men. Otherwise, if I'm not, then I'm closing that whole bracket off.
Yeah.
But I think with the whole manifesting and The Secret, it's got a bit out of hand. Like, people write these intense, tense lists of like what they want someone to be like.
There's a film. Have you seen the film?
The Secret.
Yeah.
Of course.
It's terrible.
Of course.
It's like a GCSE drama video.
It is, but it's, you know what? I believe The Secret, and funnily enough,
I believe what she's saying.
Yeah.
But you don't need to put it into
GCSE drama.
Into a GCSE drama, like horrible histories.
Yeah, I agree. But you know, with that list thing. So I've done that with guys before, and I always get what I wrote on the list. But then I realise pretty much, and then I realise, oh shit, I missed off that bit.
Oh no.
or I'm like, actually, cut the list. I just want the basics, which is to be seen, to be heard, and to feel safe.
I can't say that.
We all know what you want. Put it on the Christmas list, darling. Right. Well.
But yeah.
Independence. Such an interesting topic.
It's not a bad or good thing.
Exactly.
It's just
who you are.
Yeah, and how you come at it, essentially.
Yeah, and I think, to be honest, it's worked for us.
I feel like we've come to the same end
through
a way different. Well, it's not end. Hopefully, we don't die tonight.
It's the end.
But like through completely different channels.
Yeah, completely
different life paths.
Yeah, dating types and everything.
Yeah, like home life, family life, school life.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, we did kind of do this very similar college life, I guess.
Yeah, and the performing, but it's interesting, isn't it?
Is hyper-independence a performer's trait, do you think?
You know what? I was just thinking that, but I don't think it is, because I think there are people that, to be a performer, you have to be like really, really strong-willed, don't you? And not give up on yourself. Because you get no's all the time.
Well,
no,
yeah.
no.
Well,
you have to be like,
just-
no, I'm good enough, actually.
Yeah, what was on the telly the other day? Anyway, somebody was like, as a performer, you have to be your own cheerleader.
Oh, 100%.
Because everyone is running their own race.
Yeah.
And they're not going to be too busy cheerleading you if they're doing it themselves.
Yeah.
So I guess there is an element there as well.
Yeah, maybe that's actually why it worked so well for us.
Get another ex-performer, current performer, and ask them
And
similar
ask them.
questions, see how they feel.
That is so, so true. And it's funny because I think some of the things that people look up to me for example, up in my life, moving to Ibiza alone, didn't have any friends there, just kind of did it. People are like, wow, that's so amazing, I could never do that. And I'm like, really? But then I
Yeah.
guess actually when you think about it, that's a big thing for people. Like, people wouldn't do that.
Oh my God, 100%.
But for me, it was more about my happiness.
Yeah, but there's also people in the world that are born, live, die in their tiny little hometown,
Yeah,
which
true.
sends anxiety through me like you couldn't believe.
Oh my God.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they're very, very happy with that, and
Yeah,
I'm not
totally.
judging their lives.
No, exactly.
And
We're just a
and
different
they
type
and
of
they meet their
person.
partner at primary school, and they
Mm.
do all of this stuff, and I'm just like, the world is so big.
Yeah.
You got to go and look at it.
I guess the world needs balance. It needs the super independent, action orientated go-getters, doesn't it? And then it
And
needs
the
the really calm,
attached-
nurturing, lovely people that are gonna really
Yeah.
make space and listen and help the people that
Mm.
are the opposite. Yin and yang,
Yeah.
masculine, feminine, same old. We're all one.
We
Oh no, I'm really glad we managed to have this chat, and yeah, we'll have to do another one soon.
Oh.
And thank you
Well,
for sharing so much.
listen
about
back
your
first before you say that.
Okay. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
If you want to see more of what I'm up to, please give me a follow on Instagram at Tabitha Camden. Thank you so much for listening today. I super enjoy recording these podcasts. And if you've enjoyed listening, please hit that follow or like or subscribe button for Tab Talks podcasts.